Dear viewers, welcome to yet another episode of Expert Speaks. A few weeks before, we had done one episode on the need to have a will for every NRI. You have accepted this episode wholeheartedly. Today's episode is dedicated to one other aspect of wills and the consequences that might follow in case if you are not having the will. Our faculty member, Mr. Nikhil Varghese, will be talking to you about the various aspects, the problems that might come through in the event of not having a will. Please do watch this episode till the end. There are a lot of points you need to be making note of. Each and every point he is going to make for you is very, very essential. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, the expert of the week is Mr. Nikhil Varghese. He's not new to you. He has done one popular video in the past with reference to the need for wills. Mr. Nikhil Varghese by profession is a chartered accountant. He has worked for the big four auditing firms. He is a specialist on estate planning, succession planning, and taxation related issues. He is a co-founder of a startup company called Yellow, which is working on building a technology platform to solve the problem of public with respect to estate planning related issues. Welcome to this show, Mr. Nikhil Varghese.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrakant, and it's been a pleasure to once again be part of this honorable show. And had a good time talking to you and discussing various aspects in the previous episode, and hope to do so and keep your users engaged in this episode as well.
Mr. Nikhil, thank you very much for taking your time. Last week, in the last episode, you spoke to us about the need for the will. I want you to talk the problems that might happen to people if they don't have a will. What is the specific problems the NRI community faces in the event of death of a family member without having a will? Can you throw some light on actual problems they face?
No, very important point, Mr. Chandrakant, and more than happy to kind of address or give you a landscape of what happens when there's no will in India. Essentially, if you look at a situation where there's no will, which we call it as intestate death, families will have to fall or use the formula prescribed by the Indian succession law for asset distribution. That's one of the aspects, right? But the bigger problem is around asset discovery. What do you mean by asset discovery? Is that how many family members know the entire details of what assets one held? If you look at NRIs, your users could be first generation NRIs in the various jurisdictions. Their families could be in India. How many of them openly speak about their asset portfolio with each other? They talk about various other aspects, but assets is something which is not spoken. When they don't speak about it, how do families understand what kind of assets they held and how those assets needs to be transferred? Even if they were to know, because of the distance involved and the time differences involved, the transfer of assets itself becomes a larger problematic situation, because for each asset class, the processes involved, the time involved, as well as the need for you to be physically present is different for each asset class. And therefore, there is good amount of time and effort involved for families to kind of help with the overall transfer of asset processes. Just to simply, give you an example, if you don't have a will, certain jurisdictions require you to get a succession certificate. In some jurisdiction, it's inheritance certificate. In some other jurisdictions, just a family tree. Again, depending on the quantum of assets, the restrictions or the kind of documents and evidences that are sought by various authorities is different, right? And therefore, families are very clueless in terms of how to start, where to start, and typically end up going pillar to post before they can even get access to the entire assets, discover the assets, and thereafter do a recovery. I can give a simple example, right? One of my clients, US citizen, US resident, his parents did write a will. Both of them in India wrote a will, a simple will to say all my assets goes to my spouse and vice versa. But unfortunately, both passed away in quick succession, right? Now, unfortunately, because that will was not so robust enough, we spoke about some of these aspects in the previous video, but to make it more robust, some new things have to come in. Here, situation was so that it was not robust. And because it was not robust and they passed away in quick succession, it was as good as no will written, right? And because of this, he had to literally be in India for 6+ months, actually go through the cupboards to understand what are the properties that they held. And he went through a lot of pain before he could even get a sense of what assets are. And he went through a lot of remorse. We helped him with various aspects in terms of getting things done, but he went through a lot of pain, right? And that's kind of a summation of where it is. There are horrible stories that I've heard in this aspect in terms of overall what one goes through when there's no will in place. And especially with NRIs, the trouble gets magnified because of the jurisdictions involved.
Mr. Nikhil, you told about all these problems. Does it mean to say the presence of a will solve all these problems?
No, most definitely, having a will only ease the problem, ease, kind of rectifying the problem than, go through the entire trouble of asset discovery and recovery. And having a simple document of a will, which is comprehensive to talk about what kind of assets that you held, all of it will go a long way in helping families understand what are the assets that the individual held, where to go about getting those transfers done, etc. And all those clarities are there, and you're not contributing to the 1,50,000 crores of unclaimed assets in India. And that's a bigger problem that one needs to address. But having said that, does creating a will kind of solve the entire problem? It's not like it's a definite problem solver, but it's a one step towards kind of addressing that problem, because having a document will, one, like we said, helps with the recovery processes much faster. You also have clarity in terms of how the assets needs to be distributed, which would mean that you're avoiding some bit of litigation or dispute between family members. And also, because you have the wishes in place and the document is in place, you could also approach relevant regulatory authorities or financial institutions or registrar or whoever it is where the transfer of property needs to happen. You can produce the copy of the will for enabling the asset transfer to happen itself, right? Unless the will gets disputed, you can look at it that in most cases that the transfer should happen much more smoothly than not having a will.
Mr. Nikhil, now you told about the problems people will face in the absence of will and how presence of a will can mitigate a big chunk of problem. But the question that is there in my mind and the problem which is there on the ground is there are countless people who are there who don't have a will and they have already died and they have a problem on hand. They do not know how to solve this particular problem. They are moving from pillar to post. Now you have founded this startup called Yellow. Is there anything that you have on offerings for this kind of a people? They don't have a will and they have a problem on hand and they are going through the same problem, whatever you spoke to the audience in the beginning of this video. What is that you have at an institutional level?
No, great question, Mr. Chandrakant. And, this is something which is always been, back of our mind in terms of when we founded this company, is not only, have a technology platform to create a will, but also go the extra mile to also provide a 360-degree solution to our users to help with the overall solution for a complete estate plan, which would also mean discovering and recovering assets, right? And that's broadly been the theme of why we started this company. What we provide here is service where we act as a one-stop solution for users to provide the overall transfer of assets post a demise of any individual in India. Right? What would this mean is that we would help families with the overall transfer of assets. You don't, typically, if you look at it today, families are not aware of what processes, what claim forms needs to be filed, and what documentation needs to go along with those forms for a smooth, claim processes. Right? We have been in this space for really long. The team DNA is around estate planning, and we understand this space very well. And therefore, we be the front end or a single spoke for users to get or provide them the right advice in terms of how assets needs to be transferred, and also be on the ground to help with the overall asset transfer process. So in this regard, we have 500 plus agents on the ground pan India to run around, and get the whole assets transferred, be it real estate, be it financial assets, or any kind of assets, is something which we completely handhold the families in the overall transfer process. Now, you did ask a question saying, without a will, what can we provide? We can provide this service to users when they don't have a will, with be it your legal processes or also with your actual asset transfer processes, something that we provide on a case-to-case basis, right? We try to understand what their specific facts are, what objectives they need to achieve, or what broadly their asset portfolio is, and then price it accordingly. But having said that, we also have a subscription model that we plan to introduce very soon, and that will help users to also join our membership program, wherein with a small fraction of price paid, they could, if something were to happen in that particular year, we will provide the entire fleet of LO services on the ground for the entire asset transfer process. And just to mention this further, it's not necessary that this will come into the picture only when there is no will. Even if there is a will, still the asset transfer has to happen. And specifically for your set of listeners or viewers, they are abroad and their families could be in India. They don't need to be physically present here. We do the entire runaround and give them the tracking report, etc., what is needed, unless they're physically required to be here for specific reasons, say a property transfer where they may have to appear at the sub-register. Only on those particular situations they need to be here. They need not spend months and years in India for the overall transfer process. We do the entire heavy lifting for them.
Nikhil, it is very heartening to hear your words. For people who didn't have a hope, at least yellow appears to be a ray of hope now. If you have a problem, they can approach you, and be it a will creation or somebody has died without leaving behind a will, you have the service which is available. All that they have to do is contact you or contact us through us or directly to you, whichever the way it is. And you will take up from there everything that is required, and you will minimize the pain which the parties will go through in such an event. One question that comes to my mind is there anything that you can offer to my audience who are hearing you out now? A special discount or special treatment if they hear your this video and they have a problem, and if they reach to you, is there anything that you can offer for our viewers especially?
No, definitely, heartening to hear that you resonate with what we are saying. And most definitely for your set of users, we would want to provide something special. Like I said, we are yet to launch this membership module for the general public as a whole. But having said that, probably we could, provide a pre-launch offer for your set of users at a much considerable discount. We could provide these details and probably showcase this right now as what those offers could be. Your viewers could avail those, reach out to our customer support. Like I said, it's not launched yet. So they can call our customer support, which is on the screen, which you guys can showcase, and reach out to them and get that subscription model going. We'll be more than happy to provide relevant discounts. It's coming at a much cheaper pricing, and this you will see the numbers being very affordable and very what for the kind of services that you will avail. This is hardly anything that you want to pay as a cost for, right? At that pricing is what we want to avail. But this is go forward basis. But having said this, if there is a situation, already a live situation for any of your customers where they are struggling with the asset transfer process, they can reach out to either you or to us directly, and basis specific facts, we can put a price and pick it up from there on with the overall asset transfer process itself.
Right. Dear viewers, you have heard Nikhil now, and there is a solution for the problem that you might have on hand. All that you have to do is either reach to us through the WhatsApp number which is shown here on the screen, or you can reach directly to LO on the number which is shown here on the screen in the display which is shown here, their call center number. If you're calling them directly, use the code NRIMC so that they will know that you're an audience of NRIMC, and you will be up for a handsome discount as a pre-launch offer. And this offer is available till they launch their particular product. And after that, whatever is the applicable launch offers they will come, that will be the one which will be applicable. So you do call their call center number, which is shown here on the screen, and you are up for a handsome discount on whatever the service you need from Team Yellow.
And just to add on, though this is while you said it's a handsome discount, it's an exclusive product only for your set of viewers. And unless they mention the NRI MC code, I don't think our customer support will be able to provide this service to anybody else. And that's therefore it becomes very important to mention the code.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you very much. I'm very sure the audience will take cues from here and they'll approach you and they'll solve their problem. And you will become a household name across globe in solving problems of NRI community.
Our pleasure, sir, and more than happy to help whoever has situations. And that's where we are here and why we have created this entity.
Right. Nikhil, I heard you, and it is really a glad news for all of us to my viewers. But I need a few clarifications from you. When you say you extend them as support, can you be a little bit more clear about what exactly are covered under that? Each and every assets can be transferred, properties, bank accounts, insurance policies, mutual fund. There could be several types of assets. You do all that, or there is a limited scope of work, or what is covered or what is not covered. If you can give a little bit of a brief on that, that would be easier for my audience to understand the scope of your services.
No, most definitely, Mr. Chandrakant, very open to provide, be transparent in terms of what we exactly do here. One, this particular service, which is a post-demise service, we call it Yellow Executor Support Service, which in short form, we call it YES. And this particular service is broadly to cover all the assets that you own in India. The key word is Indian assets, not offshore assets. We help with the transfer of all assets in India, be it real estate, be it mutual funds, any financial assets like insurance, mutual funds, PF, bank account, fixed deposits, or movable assets like vehicles, etc. Essentially to say any asset that you own in India, we are there to help with the transfer across any jurisdiction within India. Right? Pan-India service is what we are providing for. And more important than that is the service that we are covering in terms of these, membership pricing that we have given will kind of cover all professional fee that is required to take care of this transfer services. And what is out of scope, if I were to put out, is one, if all the statutory fees that needs to be paid, right? In some jurisdiction, you may want to get a probate done. We will help you with the probate process, but there's a court fee that needs to be paid for probate. That's something which the families will have to shell out. Plus, if there's a litigation, then that is something completely out of scope. We can't help families with the litigation. You need support, we will help you with the support, but that will be on actuals and not part of the fee that you have paid, right? In nutshell, every asset that you own in India, we will help you with the transfer, except for statutory fee, except for litigation, everything else is covered. And that's the as transparent as I can get.
Thank you, Nikhil, for that clarification. And that simplified and that gave a direction what people can expect from Team Yellow. Nikhil, one question I want an answer from you. You mentioned YES, YESS, Yellow Executor Support Service. What is this? When you use the word executor, can you be a little bit more specific? And what is this executor? Who is an executor? What is the scope of an executor or limitations of an executor? Can you just throw a little bit more light on this?
Most definitely happy to give you a good sense of who an executor is and why we called our services as Yellow Executor Support Service. Typically, if you look at whether you have a will or not, for transfer of asset, an executor is very important when there is a situation of a demise, right? Either if you through a will, you appoint an executor. If you don't have a will, the courts appoint an executor for enabling the overall transfer of assets to the beneficiaries. Now, why we called it Yellow Executor Support Services is to be a service partner to your executor, who you nominate in your will, or if the court appoints an executor. See, we don't expect whoever we appoint as an executor, it'll be friends, families who are closer to you. You don't want them to run around for you. And you want a service provider or service partner to kind of do the entire heavy lifting. And that's where we come in and we provide the service as a package to your executor with the overall transfer processes. Now, what is the role of an executor? Like I said, executor plays a very, very important role in a will. who kind of looks at what your wishes are and helps with the overall execution of the wishes, which would mean to say that your will would say all my assets goes to my spouse, and if my spouse is not there, probably it'll go to my children equally. Now somebody has to give that effect. Somebody has to sign the documents on your behalf for the assets to get transferred, and that's the role of an executor, a very important role. And we come into the picture to kind of help them only with the signing process, but the entire runaround, be on the ground to do follow up, pick up documents, file it with the regulators, financial institutions, do the follow up, etc., is something that we do it completely. And your executor need not step out of the house unless it's really required. And that's the role that we play.
Mr. Nikhil, I'm excited. At least I'm in a frame of mind today when somebody raises a question to me in the comment section, sends me a WhatsApp message, sends me an email. I can refer this to you and you are able to solve this particular problem. So my responsibility has come down today. But one thing that could be there in the mind of an audience is this is not a small work. It's a huge work. It requires coordination between different agencies, chartered accountants, lawyers, different jurisdictions, huge geographical reach. India is not a small country. How you are able to do it? What is the staff that you have, or what is the network that you have built to make this happen? How will you give confidence to the audience that you can make it happen? Can you briefly tell for the benefit of my viewers?
No, absolutely. And our company is we've been building this for a while, but we are still not launched for a specific reason that we need to have this entire network in place before we can confidently say that this is something which we can provide for. And that's where we are today. We are confident to provide these services. Essentially, one, to look back, our DNA of the company is a group of estate planners who have put together this company, and technology is only a front end to kind of enable the service, right? And if you look at our team, we are a group of estate planners with more than 50 years of experience. We have helped families protect more than 42,000 crores of Indian assets, right? And that's the DNA we come from. But having said that, we are aware of exactly what is needed here, and that expertise is there. And what we want to showcase to your users is that we'll be a one-stop solution. You don't need to, today, if you were to look at this situation, you need to talk to multiple service providers to get this entire asset transfer done. What we are doing is we're consolidating at our end, and your users or any user who's coming our way have to only deal with a case manager at our end. They will in turn deal with the network we have built on the ground, which is 500 plus agents pan India, who has a capability to not only service your larger metro cities, but your tier 2, tier 3 cities as well, right? And provide the services. And this network is just growing, right? In the last few months, we've been able to build this 500 plus agents, which is a group of users or agents who have capability to deal with sub-registrar and governmental authorities clearly with documentation, and that's their expertise. And we have trained them and been up to speed to kind of deliver the services. And we also parallelly are building, and this, like I said, it's a building network of 500 plus agents. And parallelly, we also have lawyers and chartered accountants who are in the vicinity and in the reach to kind of handhold your users with the services as and when needed. But having said that, all these are people at the background. No, customers need not know what is happening at the background. We will give them the right services, because you need to deal only with one person at our end. They'll be the case manager. They will update you on a case to on a regular basis in terms of what is happening with each assets at what point in time. Clear tracking will be available for them, and all that they need to look at is reach out to our customer support or to the specific case manager. They get answers to relevant questions or update on where each one stands. And at the back end, we deal with the relevant service providers, agents on the ground to get everything going. And that's the network that we have built, and technology is kind of helping us in the overall tracking process.
Thank you, Nikhil, for all this explanation and introduction of service that you are offering for the NRI community in the event of a need that they have. It's a mammoth problem. NRI community is not a small community. There is every day one or the other person who is asking for this kind of service. With your help, I wish the burden of people who are going through this problem be reduced. I wish you all the best in your journey, and I wish you all the best in your future. Thank you very much for associating with the NRI Money Clinic. Whenever your product is ready, whenever you are ready to launch, please do send us a message and we'll be too happy to roll it out and bring it to the notice of NRI community, which is spread across globe. Thank you very much for your time to come all the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrakant. It's been a pleasure to talk about what we are trying to solve for the larger community in India and especially your NRI followers, because this is a need of the hour, right? As in something that is a mammoth task. We have taken it on our shoulders to kind of solve this. And we are there to kind of build this out. We built it out and there to service clients. We are ready, and it's all about execution now. Of course, it's a new service and there will be some glitches here and there, but that's on the technology front. But we are end of the day a service provider where human to human touch is there, and at least the support is something that we are very confident about and getting all of those done. And that's kind of getting reflected in the overall testimonials that we are receiving today, that all our customers are very happy with the kind of services that is coming their way. And we hope to continue that service for everyone, including your set of viewers, sir. It's been big pleasure to be part of this show, and more than happy to provide any further clarification that your users may require. And while we already have a pre-launch offer for your set of users, and I'm very sure that'll be much more better pricing than what we will end up launching for the larger community. And therefore, it's a limited time offer for your users, and let them grab that as soon as possible. That's broadly how I would conclude this. Look forward to many more conversations with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand. If you have a problem in the field of asset transfer or creation of a will, there is a helping hand which is available. If it did solve a problem, if it did give you a ray of hope, please do like this video. Do not forget to share this video with your near and dear ones. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you next Tuesday with yet another expert, with yet another topic. Till then, stay safe.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.